I'm scared that someone in my family, no matter if it's not really that close to me or super close, gonna get COVID-19 and they're not gonna be able to get through it and die.
The more we stay home and the less we go out, the faster this could be over.
With this series, I want to help people with big feelings just like me. Our first guest we'll be having is Tina Smith. She's a psycho counselor who is a counselor for any ages, no matter from kid to adult. How is the situation right now and being in isolation affect families?
That's an awesome question, Mackenzie. So being in isolation, lots of families I know are struggling with having to be both mom or dad, being teacher, and those hats are really, really tricky for families because a lot of times moms and dads just have to be moms and dads. Now they have to be teacher. And lots of families, I would tell you, are really struggling with routines and structure and how much schoolwork do I have my children do, how much play, how much do I do structure. So I think a lot of families are just trying to figure it out right now. And so I keep telling all the families, structure is really, really important. It helps kids feel safe. It helps them feel a little bit more like they have some things to be in control with. But it is tricky for families. Like, it's so tricky for moms and dads or grandma and grandpas, whoever's taking care of kids, to be both mom or grandma, grandpa, and teacher at the same time. So it is hard. It's a tricky situation right now.
What would you say to parents whose child is having big feelings right now?
I think the first thing is, Mackenzie, is for parents to know what big feelings sometimes look like. And big feelings can often look like big behaviors. And those big behaviors often, for some kids, get kids into trouble. And that's not always a nice thing for kids because they don't understand their big feelings and they want to express them. And they can look really big, like screaming and yelling. It can look like slamming doors. It can look like even hitting siblings. It can look like getting mad at animals. Sometimes it can be, for some kids, really quiet. They might start to go to their room more. They may do things that doesn't seem like something their child would do. So for parents, my goodness, I really, really, really love this question because I think for many parents, they don't really understand when they see what's happening for the kids. And then the kids feel really scared. And then they they begin to feel worse because they need their mom and dad to help them with these big, big emotions. So the first thing I would say is watch your child's behaviors, because behaviors really speak to a child's emotion. So then it's helping with the big emotions. So parents should sit down with their kids, or the caregivers, whoever's taking care of their kids, is doing some really good big belly breathing or doing some really good breathing strategies. I think moms and dads should learn how to do some really good breathing themselves. So if they can help their kids learn how to breathe and do some fun strategies, and there's so many different ones out there, whether it's blowing out a birthday candle, helping kids do that. The other thing is helping parents know that you can't actually talk to a child when they have big behaviors right away. You actually have to sit with them. You have to let their big emotions come out first. So helpful strategies such as, do they need to throw a ball at a wall, or do they need to squish a stuffy really tight, or a pillow? And the caregiver sits with them while their child just really, really releases that. And then a parent or caregiver can talk with them about what those emotions, and maybe talking looks like, I'm going to write a story, and maybe you answer the questions, or we build a story together. Or maybe we draw pictures together to talk about those big emotions, so that you have a safe space. So I think the biggest thing is one, watch for behaviors. They always tell us about what's happening for kids. Anything that seems opposite, doesn't seem like their child, The second thing is to let them experience those emotions. Let that, the parent or caregiver should sit with those big emotions, never leave their child in their bedroom or by themselves. If they want to be left alone, you're sitting outside the door, or if they're in the kitchen, you're still there, but you're not pushing them to a place that, I need to hug you to feel better. If a child doesn't want that right now, you sit there and you wait till they're ready. And then the third thing is just a way to talk about it and release it. And you can be as creative as you want. Maybe parents could get a puppet, using a puppet or drawing, all those really fun, creative ways to get kids to talk.
How should parents talk about the coronavirus to their kids?
Oh, I love all of your questions. So it is such a tricky subject to talk to kids, because even for adults, it's so hard to really understand, because we watch the news and we try to get information from the news, or even like Facebook and social media. So I would tell all of the caregivers, parents and grandparents, aunts, uncles, when they're talking about COVID, we want to give it in a way that makes sense. So, showing pictures. There's some really great books out there that some are developing now. There's a book that can be read to kids about COVID and how to explain it to kids. So that can be really helpful. As mental health practitioners, we're developing ways to talk to kids. Again, we don't want to tell kids like big words, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we can come up with fancy ways or funny ways to talk about COVID. We can turn COVID into COVID's like this dragon who is doing things to our bodies, and you can explain it in a way that's cartoon based so kids can really understand it. And then reading books. So I think is the best way to do it, and not tell all the scary details, because kids don't need to know because we're all still confused about the scary stuff of, and to find hope in it, to look at some of the really fun things that are happening. You're probably noticing that you get to spend a lot of time with your mom and dad. And so lots of kids are getting more time together with family. So I would say talk about what you need to talk about with COVID, and then talk about the really special things that are happening as a result of this pandemic. Because really special things are happening for many families.
Thank you for coming and doing this video.
You are so very welcome. Thank you for having me, and I'm so glad to be able to help.
That's all for the feeling set. See you later. Bye.